So now we're going to hear from Simployer, which is a part of Infotjenester. And for those of you who don't know Simployer, they are a leading expert within the field of HR and finance. And Oslo Business Forum is actually using Simployer, and I must say it's a great system. So now I'm going to welcome to the stage Marianne, which I think has one of the coolest titles ever. She is a Chief People and Culture Officer at Simployer. She is an experienced HR executive, and she has a true passion for organizational development and culture. Our next speaker from Simployer is Fredrik, and he is the sales director at Simployer Sweden. So I'm lucky that we're speaking English today because Swedes don't understand Bergenese, as I like to call it. He's an experienced CEO with a demonstrated history of many successful projects, growing companies. So I'm really excited to hear what they're going to say today. So same question to you guys. How can you ensure that your business has the right competence and especially tools to deal with the future? Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Yeah. We hug also in Simployer. Hey guys, good morning. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for that great introduction, Stine. Yes, I have the coolest title. Now, my name is Marianne Reese Larsen, and I've been a business leader for many years, the last 7 as HR executive. And yes, I am very passionate about business, but even more so about the people inside the business. So every day I strive for my organization to remain an attractive employer now and in the future. With many changes happening around us, rapid changes, with the digital revolution, with gig economy, and with the millennials on full speed into their careers, my job is actually to make sure that we stay an attractive employer that can change with the society. I'm here today to pinpoint a few of my pains as business leader and HR executive. Pains which I face every day when it comes to attracting, developing, and retaining the people in the organization. But I'm not here alone on the stage, as you can see. I would like you to welcome my colleague, Fredrik. And a big applause.
Thank you. Thank you. And I am absolutely thrilled to be here today because I'm going to talk about my favorite stuff, and I really like that. Like said, my name is Fredrik Christiansson. I've worked as a leader in the software industry for the past 13 years, and specifically, I've been working with technology around people and culture. And I also know what it's like to run a business, that same challenge that we all face. What about tomorrow and what to do next? So I'm here today to give mine and our opinions on the matters that Marianne will talk about.
Yes. So the first thing that we want to address is the workforce. Developing on demand. Well, as a business leader, my biggest investment is in the people. And it's quite risk-taking. And I take that risk about 50 times when we recruit to Simployer. And today, I'm very fortunate. I work in a company where people stay for a long time. Some have even been with us from the beginning, 35 years by now. I'm really impressed by the way that my colleagues have continued to grow over time and stay relevant in the same company over time. But when we are growing, that becomes exponentially harder due to the fact that we don't have enough managers and people to coach the people in the organization so that we can make sure that they drive in the same direction that the company needs to go. So in my role as HR executive, I need to be able to predict the future at least 3 years from now, and I need to know how we get there. I feel in my role I have to be at least 5 steps ahead, because when the need is expressed in the organization, it's already too late. So Fredrik, how can technology help us?
Well, I would say that the first part of the answer to that question is quite simple. Because to really be able to change, you need to know what you have, right? And that certainly goes for the fact when you're developing your people or the organization. And traditionally, you would create a reference model and then get everyone in the organization to map themselves against that reference model. You are all familiar with the gap analysis. That, however, takes a lot of work. And there are some issues as well, because whatever effort that the employee puts into that is lost when they leave the company. And whatever they have done previously, you will not benefit from it as well. This has, in fact, changed radically. Now, there is a player out there who has this information, and for most of your employees. And the funny thing is that it's not you. It's LinkedIn. Yeah. And yet, most of you, or most companies, they don't benefit from this. This is one example of technological advances that you will actually benefit from, and you will benefit from them, but without leading them. And in the same way, training people for a new role, that would mean a rather lengthy process that would involve external resources. Well, not anymore, because today you can actually train your individuals for new roles just by allowing the time for them to do it, and at an extremely low cost. There's a massive amount of content readily available out there. Hands up, how many have heard of Pluralsight? Yay. Google it. And what if you could connect these things? Someone is feeding you your organization's competencies and handing you your training. And maybe what if you could connect your time and planning software to identify the gaps in the roles, getting the job done, and then have AI tailor the training for each individual? That sounds like stuff of the future, but it's not. That is actually stuff that we are working on right now. Marianne?
Yes?
What's next?
Well, a company's workforce is the biggest asset, as I see it, but it's also the key risk factors. Lack of engagement and demotivation and high turnover rates are still troubling a lot of organizations around there. How to handle the fact that employees in the future will be less loyal, at least less loyal than what we're used to, as the world is becoming more disloyal? Well, as a consumer today, I can pick and choose. I can lease a car, I don't have to buy it. I can change my mobile subscription from one month to the other. I shop online to fill my instant needs. I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that choosing which job you want is actually one of the biggest commitments we make in today's society. When the commitment is there, it's our job as business leader to make sure that the person with the commitment wants to stay in the company and perform, because that's actually when we get the return on the investment. So how can and will technology be an asset in helping us facing this situation, Fredrik?
Well, I think the first thing that we need to do is not try and fight the future. And I think we should more argue in the way that the US Marine Corps does. You need to improvise, adapt, and overcome. Yes. Because let's realize the fact these external factors, they are only a problem because we choose to see them as a problem. Rather, what if we could see it as an opportunity? Yeah, this problem is, I believe, very firmly rooted in our inefficiency as organizations to change the outside circumstances. And I think that this is where technology will have a profound impact. Many of the following examples that I will now give you, they are, in today's organizations, extremely manual and labor-intensive. And changing that is what I do for a living, making sure that our clients has the right tools, and essentially that is what an HR management system does, allowing organizations to complete these tasks repeatedly. Technology will help us finding talent quicker and from a wider selection. Once again, just think of LinkedIn. Recruitment will also be wider in the sense that we're not necessarily looking to hire someone. We're just looking to borrow their skills. And technology will certainly help us be more productive and efficient in on and offboarding people. And we all know that there's a lot of money to be saved and earned if we get people productive quicker. And this can be automated to a much greater extent than what the average onboarding looks like today. And like we talked about recently, training will also be helped by technology. You can train individuals or entire workforces on demand at an extremely low cost. And I think this is very much driven by the consumer behavior, Netflix, HBO, and similar. And I think everyone who is in this room today can agree that technology is changing the way that we communicate. Right? You're using Teams, Slack, Skype, FaceTime, Workplace. It is now, more than ever before, easier to communicate. And the funny thing is that technology is actually helping us motivating people. And now you're thinking, what is he going to say? Well, the fact is, first of all, it helps us look at employee engagement. Collecting data in real time, and with the help of AI, allow us to act on that data within the blink of an eye. So I truly think that we need to change our perspective on this. Instead of, like you gave an example, trying to keep everyone, we should allow for people to come and go, and then make sure that we have the best use of them while they're on board. And instead direct our efforts to work with the inefficiencies that we've built into the very traditional and rigid hierarchy. Marianne?
Yes. So the last thing that I want to address is leadership. What about leadership beyond 2020? I believe that working and leading in a firm of the future will feel quite different. I read an article a while back, and it made me reflect on how leadership might look like. I think that it will sometimes feel like we are venture capitalists, thinking in terms of payback over 5 to 10 years or longer. A venture capitalist is focused on mission-critical roles, and they naturally think about creating value through ecosystems. I also think that other aspects will feel like a professional services firm. Lawyers, accountants, consultancies, and engineering firms work in ways quite different to most organizations today. They mobilize teams of professionals to attack specific business problems. When the problem is resolved, the teams disband and they move on to different projects. They are less constrained by annual business planning, and I believe this way of working has a faster speed and flow. As a business leader, I need to empower people to work in a different way, and I also need to provide them with the tools that enables this to happen. And I believe that this is a profound leadership challenge, and I hope that we can make it. What do you think, Fredrik?
For the sake of it, and especially for this discussion, let's assume what you're saying is true and will happen. Then, there's no software out there that will support these organizations.
I know.
And let me just say, so that I have said it, I don't think that there's any software that we'll see anytime soon that will replace good leadership. However, I do believe that technology will have an impact in the way that we lead and support our employees. We can look at our own chatbot, for instance. It supports employees by, answering questions regarding best practices, your workplace, your regulations. And if you think about that, that's traditionally what the manager would do.
Yeah.
And I think that if you look on your smartphones, you have apps that help you work, train, sleep, eat better. So obviously, technology will have an impact. And then to answer your question a bit more direct. Now, if we are going to create technology that will support these kind of organizations, it needs to change fundamentally, okay? So it needs to support these loose project organizations. It needs to support different type of workplace relationship. Not everyone will have an employment agreement. And the most important thing, in my opinion, is the fact that it needs to be part of a digital ecosystem. And I know this. I've been in discussion with major corporations in both Norway and Sweden, and this is one of their biggest pain, because employees expects us to help them build their digital footprint and their resume. And currently, all that information is kept on the inside of our system. That can't be anymore. It needs to be readily accessible and interchangeable with other parties. So, given all this arguing, I would say that yes, the future for a leader will change dramatically.
Yeah. So that was almost 50 minutes up for us. I just want to say a few reflection on the last minute here. I think that regardless of the technological advances that we will see in the future, I still believe that technology will just be an enabler. It will still be us guys doing the job, creating all the magic.
Yeah, you bet. I think
You bet.
Technology is great.
Yes.
But if you really think about it, I think humans still have a monopoly on something which is creativity.
Yes.
And you can't beat that.
No, you can't. So thank you very much, guys. I hope this was an interesting 30 minutes with us and Miles. And please talk to us afterwards in the stand.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.